Welcome to the GAME.minder Report, your weekly source of upcoming gaming news and information for the week of December 18th, 2012. The GAME.minder Report starts now.
Aww. You know, if you look out the window,
It says hello.
it's beginning to look absolutely nothing like Christmas here in Cleveland.
Yeah, apparently the last 2 years, winter has just left Cleveland, and we're now like a nice 50.
2 years ago, we had plenty of snow in December, but not last year, and certainly not this year. It's like 48 today. It was
we pretty
raining
much
this morning.
have a Pacific Northwest climate now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
If only it was actually Seattle.
That
That
would
would
be-
be kind of neat.
Or Portland, a place where everyone thinks it's still 1995.
We're not going to sing that song, Jim.
Okay.
I know it's a good show, but we're not going to sing that song.
Okay, so here we go. This is
Here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Again. Okay.
Here we go.
All right. So this is the last podcast. Oh, you don't have to duck. That's okay. This is the last podcast of 2012.
And possibly
the
ever.
world. Yes.
If the Mayan predictions come to pass this Friday.
Now here's something. Did they predict the world was going to end, but did they predict that mankind was going to end? Or was there some sort of like...
I don't know, and I don't care.
Yeah. Anyway, so we have some topics du jour.
Indeed.
But we're also going to wrap things up.
Yeah, I think because as some of you may have noticed, we still have not been able to add new games to GAME.minder.
And we're also really lazy, so we're doing what everyone else does at a podcast right now. And TV show.
But mostly the first thing. So we so in that piece to this week, I think we'll just sort of wrap up maybe like our favorite gaming moments of 2012 or something.
Can we
like
have
that.
an 80s montage with us ending with us doing the high five thing? Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start off with something that I thought was actually pretty cool.
Okay, what was that?
Naughty Dog flat out refused to change the cover of The Last of Us when they were asked to. And why were they asked to, Jim? Because there was a woman on it.
Really?
And they said, absolutely not. This game, this is what we want. This is how we want it to be portrayed, and that's what we're going to do. And the suits that told them, oh, no, you got to change it. There's a woman on there, and it's not going to sell. They were like, you know what? We don't really care what you think.
Well, that's interesting because there was also a cover controversy with the next BioShock.
Okay.
Now, the controversy for this one was that it had a gun on it, and there was a guy holding a gun, and it was basically kind of looked like Drake, kind of didn't, but it definitely had this was a first-person shooter
Right.
feel, and it was the opposite. It was the fans that were upset because they're like, this isn't what BioShock is.
Sure.
And the marketing people were saying, no, we need to have this if we're going to sell. We understand BioShock's a great game. It has a great reputation as far as critical acclaim, but we want to get more read between the lines dude bros playing BioShock.
Yeah.
And dude bros, I guess, have money.
It would appear that way.
But no, I mean, it's not that. I don't really get it. I mean, there's another guy holding a gun, and she's not even aiming her gun. Her gun's on her back.
Well, you know, the other thing that I did see, which is sort of a positive about the whole BioShock thing, is that the woman who is now sort of the personification of the character was actually a cosplayer. She was like, there was some concept art released of who she was going to be. She cosplayed, I think, for PAX East.
She wasn't
a couple years ago.
Wasn't the chainsaw lollipop girl? Lollipop chainsaw girl.
But and they basically approached her and said, "Would you like to be the face of BioShock Infinite?" And she actually became the official sort of face of the character, which I think is kind of cool.
I mean,
so kids, if you're into cosplay, stay into cosplay. It can take you places.
yeah, I'm not sure how your wife feels about that.
This cosplay is actually not bad.
Okay. Long story short, I don't see what the big
Too
deal is.
late. Long story short.
Yeah. Well, it's because you just don't stop talking.
It's a podcast, Jim.
A 20-minute podcast.
Yeah, whatever.
Anyway, I don't see what the big deal is. I mean, so who was telling them? The publisher was telling them?
I'll link to it, and you can read it.
Yeah,
for
whatever.
yourself.
I mean, in the article, it does talk about that very thing about the BioShock. I don't know. Whatever.
I mean, as with everything, the marketing surrounding games is always going to be sort of lowest common denominator. I guess, is the best way to put it. Like,
well, that's a good segue into Dollar General. Now,
Dollar General, lowest common denominator general.
Yeah, basically Dollar General, which sells things for over $1, but it's supposed to be a dollar store.
It's a general store.
Whatever. It's now going to, on your receipt, sell Xbox Live memberships and marketplace points. I mean,
more people playing games. I got no problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's two things you can look at it. Like, one is, okay, why? But the second thing is like it's gotten to this point. Like, is Microsoft points going to become a currency now? Like, I don't, I don't know. Whatever. Okay, but
yeah, I'm not sure I have an opinion about this one.
Yeah, it's news. And
we report, you decide.
That's why we call it the GAME.minder report.
Exactly.
We mind on the games.
Yep.
And you mind them.
All right, so another link that you decided to put in here this week was THQ evaluating Linux.
Yeah, basically, the news off of this is that piggybacking off of their Humble Bundle that we had discussed,
reported on previously,
it actually helped them out a lot. So THQ now. We also reported that THQ was in a little bit of a straits of the dire.
Indeed,
as far as their
there was money for nothing and your chicks for free.
Thank you.
It's a dire straits joke, Jim.
Okay.
Ask your parents.
Anywho, they're looking into copying some of their games, and they're not copying, porting some of their games over to Linux.
Okay.
It's pretty much.
That's been working on the Steam side, so.
Right? And it's not anything that sounds too out of the blue. It'll be like Saints Row the Third, possibly. Like, just they're huge games that has done well.
Right.
They'll port over to Linux, and I don't.
So basically what you're saying is 2013, year of Linux on the desktop.
Yeah, and
just like 2012 and 2011 and 2010. But who knows? Maybe this time it actually will. I think, honestly, if there's a killer app or a killer app category that can make it happen, it's going to be games.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like, the vast majority of people out there can do, like the whole old argument used to be, I need a PC for work. And that's simply just not true anymore. You know, you can do most of your work on your phone these days.
I was going to say, most people are using their iPads now.
Exactly. iPads, iPhones, Android phones, Android tablets even. I mean, especially if you're talking about specialized business uses, some of these Android tablets are probably perfectly positioned because a company with 10,000 employees can buy a bunch of those, basically turn it into whatever they need it to be, and just give them out.
Yeah.
So I think the idea of having a high-powered PC at home is really only for gamers anymore. And if that's true, if you can make the gaming experience compelling on the Linux side of things, I mean, have not been hearing tons of great stuff about gaming on Windows 8. So who knows? Perfect storm.
True.
Indeed.
And then finally, you had something here about...
I don't know about finally. Before we get to the finally, let's talk about the Minecraft documentary.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did miss over that. Yeah. In lieu of Indie Game, the movie.
In lieu of means instead of.
Well, instead of watching Indie Game, the movie, you can watch this documentary.
In the vein of Indie Game, the movie, there's another documentary coming up about games. About Mojang?
Yeah, the Minecraft people.
The Minecraft people.
It's about, I mean...
It's basically, how did this happen?
Right.
And that is something I would very much like to know.
And a lot of it is the fact that this game had been popular, and it wasn't even in a beta.
Right.
And this game had already had a huge following. I remember that when they were at PAX Prime, and they were talking about a new beta release, and they had a huge crowd around their booth, and it was just over a beta release. And I was like, and it has made this game quite interesting to track, because the final release. But on the other side, it has been able to, I think, be like the forefather of something like a Kickstarter.
Sure.
And how to go about that and get people to play your beta early, and then be beta testers, and that actually being something that you want to achieve for, and it's a gift. Like, before, people are like, oh, I'm a beta tester, and it had this stigma because the game was awful and all you were doing was finding bugs. But now it's a rite of passage. It's a medal of some sort.
Well, it's interesting because I have tried Minecraft.
I have not.
I think I probably tried the wrong version. I tried the Xbox 360 version.
Okay.
Now, maybe this is just a game that you have to play sitting at your PC, but I mean, it's on iOS, it's on Android, it's on...
And I've heard that it works very well. The Pocket Edition is very popular and
okay. I mean, I played it for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and I was just like, I got through the tutorial, and like I started like playing the game, and I was just like, maybe I just didn't go far enough. I really didn't get it. And I'm not saying that there's nothing there to get, but I think one of the reasons I really want to watch this, and just for anybody who knows, it is actually it's premiering on Xbox Live on December 22nd, provided we're still here, of course.
Correct.
Because then we're supposed to end on the 21st. But if it doesn't, you will be able to watch this movie on Xbox Live. And I'm hoping to do so that I can maybe get a feel, maybe watch it, and then fire up my Xbox Live Arcade version of Minecraft and maybe get a feel for what the big deal is, because at this point I still don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that has blown me away is people that have been able to make working functional clocks and all these like phenomenal intricate physics-based and not just like physics like, oh, look, the person falling, but like truly using physics, the science. And I think that's my feel is that I will never have the time nor be the skill
and that is
to do that.
That is kind of the piece where it's like, if we have the ability to build in this way, that's great. I don't know that I have the drive to do so.
Right.
And I think it's great for people out there who do have the drive to do so. I just don't know if I'm one of those
It's
people.
kind of like Legos. Like, I love looking at people who made anything what's it like a model of like a model of the Empire State Building or a model of a stadium, or the stadiums are actually phenomenal, but like any type of like Legos scale model of something looks great. I would rather look at it than spend I would just be annoyed.
Yeah, I don't know. I used to be into that stuff. I got other things to do these days though. Word. So now we can get to the last. Now, as we've said on many other occasions, we are not a politically affiliated podcast. And I'm going to hope to have this conversation without getting too political. But obviously this is going to hit kind of hard close to home. It hit close to home for me. But there was obviously some pretty negative happenings in Connecticut this past weekend. There was a shooting at a school. And the gaming community tends to be a sort of scapegoat in situations like this. You tend to hear people say, well, clearly violent video games did this. Thankfully, there's actually been less of that this time around than usual.
Less, yeah.
But one interesting thing that has come up is the OS Ceasefire sort of movement. Now, OS Ceasefire is a hashtag, OS Ceasefire, all one word. And what it basically is a bunch of gamers who have decided to band together to basically sort of take the day off of online shooters this coming Friday, the 21st. Now, there's, I think a lot of people are sort of behind it. The idea that it's like, look, in sort of solidarity with, this nastiness that happened, we're going to put our virtual guns down as sort of a moment of remembrance. I know I'm going to do it. But then some people have said that this is gamers sort of wrongfully taking on responsibility for what happened. And I don't think that's true. I really do think that in this particular case, this is just gamers sort of bowing to their better nature. And seeing that there is a way that they might be able to do some good in the world and taking it upon themselves to do so. Thoughts?
I think it could be both. I always tend to side with the fact, or with the fact that if you feel that this is going to be your part and it comes from a good place, like your intent and you're intrinsically trying to do something good, then I'm okay with it.
Sure.
I don't feel that it was necessary, but if a group wants to get together, and I believe this is more of a probably like a younger group, maybe these are just like high school kids. It could be adults. I don't know, but if that's something that you're going to do this and you feel it's going to make a difference, or if it doesn't, it's just showing something, and in your heart of hearts you're going to feel good about it. I have no issue with it. I don't think it's necessary, and I also don't think if someone does play a shooter on Friday that they should be vilified or anything like that either.
I absolutely agree.
Now, if you are going to then post on Facebook or change your Xbox gamer tag to "I am in support of," I'm not saying his name, and therefore I'm going to play this game. Okay, well then you're a jerk. And
True.
But then again.
Here's the broader issue.
Well, I was gonna say this. Even I remember when I was 14, and I thought that I was standing up to the man and doing something that was, totally off the wall. But now that I'm adult, I'm like, I was just being an idiot for being an idiot's sake. So we don't know that.
Sure. Here's the bigger question that I think this sort of speaks to. This, if it goes off, and if it goes off well, will be a digital demonstration, basically, kind of like a sit-in. Only in the digital, it's like a digital opt-out kind of whatever, Now, I'm certainly not trying to imply that this is equivalent to like the Million Man March or anything like that, but it certainly is born of the same concept. It is the idea of we as a community are going to take some sort of stand in a measurable way. And I can tell you this right now. There's absolutely no way that there will not be, if this goes off, that there won't be news from 343 Industries or whoever makes Call of Duty talking about what the actual logged in playing numbers were that day. If just to say that we didn't even notice a bump, I do think, especially given the climate around this discussion, I don't think it can hurt.
No.
I just think it's one of those things where, there's been so much talk of people blaming games for this kind of stuff. And yes, I know, not as badly this time around, which is, bully. But I do think that gamers, if there's one thing gamers have been guilty of up to this point, it's not taking responsibility for what our chosen hobby can do, both in the good and the bad. I don't think that there's enough people focusing on the good that gaming can bring to the world. But you and I both know when you're on Xbox Live, the anonymity there can create a pretty horrific sort of situation.
And that could be but that could be for any type of online forum where you're hiding behind the computer.
It can be, but I do think that the idea that we don't simply participate in gaming by sitting behind a keyboard and typing. We participate in gaming by exploring virtual worlds together. I think it is more important in this particular case. I really do, because I'm not gonna lie to you. When I fired up Halo on Sunday night, I turned it right back off again. There was something about it that felt not right to me. And I think being able to channel that into something that is hopefully going to be for good here, I think is an admirable pursuit, and I plan to participate.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it will or will not, cause anything. Like, I don't think that the town of this is it Newtown?
Newtown, yeah.
I don't really think that they're all going to hear about this and feel
this
better
isn't for that,
right? But that's the thing, is that, like, I guess my thinking is, okay, yeah, this is a good cause, it makes you feel better, but if you really want to do something that's going to help them.
And I don't disagree with that either.
Yeah.
I mean, I've already donated. I won't say to what I donated, but I think that this is an important issue that needs more active work. But I do think the idea of mobilizing gamers who tend to have a reputation of being sort of bumps on the couch, I think if we can get them moving, even if it's just in something small, I think it shows that there's a bit larger potential there.
Yeah. And just a side note onto that, I don't think that's the case anymore. I don't think video gamers, comic book people, whether it is because of the fact that the Big Bang Theory, the television shows helped or whatever, but these Comic-Cons, these video game cons, the fact that there's more gaming conventions than ever before just shows that not only is it mainstream, but you're not being made fun of for being a nerd who plays video games, because everyone's playing video games.
Yeah.
So that's my thinking, is I don't think, which is maybe the reason why you're not hearing all this, video games was the cause, because it's like saying, like, coffee was the cause.
Coffee was the cause. It was the cause of a lot of things, but it was not the cause of this. All right. If you want more information about that, check the show notes or follow the hashtag #OSCeasefire on Twitter. I think that's probably enough out of us on that particular topic.
Sure.
So why don't we talk real quick about what's coming out this week?
Okay. Let's.
Excuse me. Not much this week. It is, as you say, 1 week before Christmas. Not exactly the best week to be releasing a brand new game, but there are a couple. We've got Nights into Dreams HD and Tokitori 2, about which I know nothing of either of those.
And I can't help you with that.
Excuse me. All right, so real quick, we're actually almost completely out of time, so let's just do this really quickly. Give me one, maybe two of your favorite moments in gaming this year.
I think it was just it wasn't any game. I think it was just the advent, just how popular that these conventions are that I was stating.
Sure.
How the community can be a great place to meet and talk to people and really get to know people, and they all seem to be just a really good good time. Basically, It was just the community has blown up and it's become mainstream and in a good way, and I like that.
Awesome.
That's my take on it. Yours?
Okay. Well, I mean, if we're going to be talking about specific games, the biggest two games I played this year were Mass Effect 3 and probably Skyrim, and I guess Halo 4. But if I had to pick my favorite moments in gaming this year, I think it would have had to have been Fez, honestly. That was obviously, if anybody's been listening to the show, they see that I'm really into the retro throwbacks. A lot of them are actually just remakes, but this was a retro throwback in a whole different kind of way. I sort of fell in love with the aesthetic of the game when we saw Indie Game the movie, and when I played it, it lived up to my every expectation. It really felt like I was back playing like a Super Mario Brothers style game, but not the same game I've played a million times.
Right.
And I really just enjoyed it, So despite the fact that I tend to love the really big games like the Mass Effects and the Skyrims, a nice little small game like that was perfect. I got through it in a few days, and it was just terrific.
Great. So. Well, no matter what you practice or preach, this end of the year holiday Festivus, whatever, everyone be safe.
Indeed.
Hope you have a great time with your family, friends, or whatever it may be. And we will see you in a year.
2013. Ring, ring, ring. So that's going to do it for the Game.minder Report this week. If you enjoy what we do, why not subscribe by hitting that button right there? If you're watching on YouTube, or from the subscribe now button on GameMinderReport.com.
And to view the show notes of this episode or to follow any of the games mentioned today, don't forget to visit GameMinderReport.com/31.
And don't forget to follow GameMinder on Twitter or Facebook, or get the app for your iPhone or Android phone.
Okay, and finally, don't forget to buy all your games through the website or app. Every game you pre-order or purchase helps support this show and the service. Signing off for the Game.minder Report in 2012, I am Jimmy P.
And I'm Jeremy, reminding you, don't forget to play.